All right, future nurses, let's jump right in. Today, we are going to tackle the heart. You know, it can seem super complex, but I promise, by the end of this, you're going to have a rock-solid foundation that'll make everything from here on out make so much more sense.
So, let's start with a really big question. How in the world does your body get the good stuff, oxygen, nutrients, to every single one of your trillions of cells? The answer, of course, is this amazing pump we're about to break down. Understanding this one problem is the key to everything else.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the why. What's the ultimate goal here? That's central perfusion. Then we'll get into the how, the pump itself and the electrical wiring that runs it. And finally, we'll look at how we as clinicians can actually see and measure how well it's all working.
All right, first things first, the ultimate goal. Before we even think about chambers and valves and all the nuts and bolts, we have to understand the fundamental reason this amazing organ even beats in the first place.
And that reason is all wrapped up in this one word, perfusion. Seriously, burn this word into your brain. It's just a fancy way of saying we're delivering oxygen and nutrients through the blood to all the cells. It's the body's FedEx, basically. And without it, well, nothing else matters.
Now, you'll hear about two types of perfusion. Tissue perfusion is like the final delivery to the doorstep. That's the blood flowing through the teeny tiny capillaries. But for right now, we're focused on the big picture, central perfusion. Think of this as the main distribution hub, the engine that powers the whole delivery network. It's the force generated by the heart itself.
Okay, so now that we know the goal is perfusion, let's look at the machine that makes it happen, the mechanical pump. The easiest way to think about the heart is like a house with 4 rooms, or chambers, and we're just going to follow a drop of blood on its little journey through this house. So check this out. It's a 2-part trip. All the used up, deoxygenated blood comes back from the body and enters the right side of the heart. The right side's only job is to pump that blood next door to the lungs to pick up fresh oxygen. Then, that brand new, oxygen-rich blood comes back to the left side. And the left side, especially that powerful left ventricle, has the big job. It pumps that blood out to the entire rest of the body. It's just a beautiful, efficient loop.
And that pumping action really just breaks down into 2 phases, squeeze and relax. That's it. Systole is the squeeze, the big contraction that pushes blood out. And diastole is the chill-out phase, the relaxation, when the chambers fill back up with blood, getting ready for the next big squeeze.
But wait a minute, what actually tells the heart muscle when to squeeze? It doesn't just do it on its own. That's where the heart's electrical system comes in. You can think of it as the intricate wiring inside the walls of the house that coordinates everything and makes sure the timing is absolutely perfect.
Okay, so the spark starts right up top, in the SA node. That's the heart's natural pacemaker. The signal spreads across the top chambers, the atria, telling them to squeeze. But then it hits this super important checkpoint, the AV node. And this is so cool. The AV node deliberately puts on the brakes for a split second. It creates a pause. Why? To give the ventricles enough time to fill up with blood before they get the signal to contract. After that pause, the signal zooms down the bundle branches and through the Purkinje fibers, and bam, the ventricles fire. So we've got this amazing electrical light show happening inside the heart with every beat. But how do we actually see it? Well, that's what an EKG, or an electrocardiogram, is for. It's so important to remember. The EKG is not showing you the muscle squeezing. It's a picture of the electrical signal that tells the muscle to squeeze. It's our window into that wiring. This slide right here, this is gold. This is where we connect the dots between those squiggly lines on the screen and what's actually happening in the heart. That first little bump, the P wave, that's the atria getting their electrical signal to fire. The big spike, the QRS complex, that's the main event. That's the powerful electrical signal telling the ventricles to squeeze and push blood out to the body. And that last bump, the T wave, that's the ventricles electrically resetting, getting ready to do it all over again. You'll learn to see this as a story, not just a line. Hey, remember that deliberate pause we talked about at the AV node? Well, we can actually measure it on the EKG. That's what the PR interval is. It's the time it takes for that signal to travel from the atria through the AV node and get to the ventricles. If that interval gets too long, it's a huge clue. It tells us there's a delay, a communication problem, what we call a heart block, and that can really affect how well the heart is pumping.
Okay, last section. We've seen the mechanics, we've seen the electricity, now let's talk about the numbers. The stuff you'll be watching on the monitor all day long that tells you how well this whole system is performing.
This formula is everything.
cardiac output. It's the total volume of blood the heart pumps out in 1 minute. And the formula is beautifully simple. It's just the amount of blood pumped with each beat, that's your stroke volume, times the number of beats per minute, your heart rate. That's it. This number tells you the bottom line of how well the heart is doing its job.
So what's a normal number? For most adults, it's between 4 and 8 liters every single minute. To put that into perspective, you know those big 2-liter soda bottles? Your heart is pumping 2 to 4 of those every 60 seconds. That's just incredible.
All right, so where does blood pressure fit into all this? Think about a garden hose. The pressure inside that hose comes from 2 things: how much water you're pushing through it, that's your cardiac output, and how much you squeeze the nozzle at the end, that's your systemic vascular resistance. Your blood pressure is the exact same thing: how much blood is being pumped, and how tight or relaxed the blood vessels are.
But blood pressure goes up and down with every beat, right? It's not a constant number. So we need a way to find the average pressure that your organs are actually feeling, and that's the mean arterial pressure, or MAP. And you might notice the formula weights diastolic pressure a little more heavily. That's because your heart actually spends about 2/3 of its time in diastole, the relaxation phase.
And this. This number is one you will never, ever forget. A patient's MAP has to stay above 60. That's the magic number. Why? Because if it drops below that, you're not generating enough pressure to push blood into vital organs like the brain and the kidneys. This number is your most direct, real-time indicator of perfusion. It's a big deal.
So let's wrap this up with a little pop quiz to bring it all home. Based on everything we just covered, if you're looking at an EKG strip and you see that PR interval is dragging on, it's too long. What part of that electrical wiring is having a problem? Where's the delay happening? If you can answer that, you're already thinking like a nurse. You're connecting the EKG to the heart's function, and that is the whole game.